Hey there, welcome back to Total Geek Live Baltimore Presents. I am Baltimore, and I am here today to start to talk about Marvel Cosmic Events. And you can't talk about these events without talking about the Kree-Skrull War. Now, this is like the start of Marvel Cosmic Events, and it's legendary. It's referred to back in time and time again, and for good reason. It's amazing, it's incredible, and the ideas that were thrown out here were really, really fun and exciting and strange and weird, and all the kind of things you want early 70s Marvel to be. Um, and so it's not necessarily an event per se as we understand them now. They didn't really do things like that back in the early 70s. They had some crossovers. They had some, people coming into other um, issues or books, but it never was like this huge like event like we know them today. But Roy Thomas, who was writing the Avengers at the time, started just kind of writing this kind of grand space object without kind of really understanding or knowing what he was actually doing, or what he was going to create, or how long-lasting the legacy would be for it. And it was really, really incredible. There's art by Sal and John Buscema and Neil Adams, legendary. So this was really incredible work. It spans Avengers 89 through 97. So you have a lot of issues here. And the interesting thing is that not all the issues consecutively kind of feel like an epic crossover, because for the most part, it was kind of took place on Earth. So the cosmic kind of events were kind of out there, and that's kind of what he was attending. He wanted the events of the Kree-Skrull War. So you have that going on, but how would affect Earth? And so that was kind of an interesting concept, sort of like World War II was going around, but Marvel Universe or Earth was kind of like an island in the Pacific. So it was kind of like it affected them, but then kind of super not really. But it was really interesting. So you have the Kree and the Skrull. And those are two intergalactic empires, warring factions at odds. The Kree were introduced very early on in the 60s, and the Skrulls, I think, were introduced in the first 3 or 4 issues of Fantastic Four. So the two alien races have been around for a long time, and they've been at odds ever since. So this kind of takes it. They are at war. They're trying to defeat each other and kind of get the upper hand, so to speak, and defeat the other ones. And Earth is kind of caught in the middle of it. So it kind of starts with the original Captain Marvel, coming back to Earth, and he needs to be drained of all the excess radiation that he's been storing up since he was in the negative zone. And at this point, his negabands that he wore that kind of gave him his powers allowed him to switch spaces with Rick Jones. So when Rick Jones was on Earth, Captain Marvel was in the negative zone. And when he clinked the negabands together, they would switch places. So there was that kind of an interesting concept, and it's something that we see from time to time. But it's kind of used to good effect. How long does each one get to live a life, and the other is kind of trapped in a negative zone world. So the Avengers help him and try to bring out the excess radiation. They use Reed Richards to help them, and his helper Carol Danvers, who is now known as Captain Marvel, is along for the ride. But they are attacked by a robot sentry who captures Marvel, and they have to kind of figure out what's going on there. Similarly, Hank Pym and the Wasp are at this point traveling to the Arctic because they sense something is strange with the oil reserves there, the oil industry, and they're kind of going to go to check it out. So as they're on their way there, they realize that things are not quite right. So Hank Pym pushes Wasp out of the way so she doesn't get attacked or anything, but he's captured, and she sends out a distress signal to the other Avengers, of which Hawkeye, who is now going by Goliath, he's using the Pym particles to increase his size and strength. So they come to the rescue, and they find out that the villain there, Ronan, the accuser, Kree, is trying to devolve Earth and everyone in it so that they can use Earth as a battleground against the Skrull. So they have a big fight. Quicksilver comes in, finishes him off, and all the people who were devolved, including Hank Pym, are returned to normal. Ronan leaves because he gets advance warning of an attack that's going to be taking place on the Kree homeworld of Hala. So he escapes and leaves, and that's where that is. Mar-Vell's existence as an alien is brought to light. And so in these early 70s, you have this Senate hearing, much like, McCarthyism. And so the senator is, demanding Mar-Vell to come to the hearing, and the Avengers are protecting Mar-Vell. They don't want him to go, and they refuse to hand him over, but they agree to the hearings. Well, that's not what the senator wants, and so they are attacked. And then out of nowhere, Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor come back and disband the Avengers. But the rest of the Avengers are like, yeah, that's not going to happen. We're still doing this. They didn't really take it to heart, and for good reason. So after that, they kind of have this existence, like Captain Mar-Vell and and Carol Danvers go on the run, and they're attacked and captured and sent to the Skrull world. They want him to build a device that will destroy either side and really, dismantle the whole intergalactic empires. So there's a lot of crazy, weird, not really connected things, and also in the meantime, Triton of the Inhumans comes and asks for their help to rescue Black Bolt against Maximus. There's an uprising in Adelon. So that happens, and you're kind of like, well, this is a strange left turn in a cosmic epic, but it kind of actually works in the story. So Scarlet Witch and Vision are attacked as they are trying to track down a lead, and they are attacked by 3 cows. And so this might not mean anything to you, but early on in the Fantastic Four, there were 4 there were 4 Skrull exploratory crew that were sent out to figure out Earth, what it was like, if they could use it, or what was going on. They encounter the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four defeat them and turn them into cows. So they kind of live out their existence as cows. And these are the cows that come to attack Vision once they kind of regain their senses, or who they actually are. So that was kind of a cool and interesting stuff. But there's only 3, so that means there's 1 that's not counted in there. Who comes back, we'll find out later on, is actually the senator who is trying to force these investigations on Mar-Vell. So it's kind of this Machiavellian plot that's going on with all the crazy little things going on, which is kind of really, really awesome. So then we finally get to the cosmic side. We kind of get out to the Skrull home world and the Kree home world, and we're kind of treated to this kind of space epic where you have the Avengers trying to fight and save their members of the Avengers, and you have Captain Mar-Vell trying to create this device so that they won't to destroy one of the warring sides. And it's really, really interesting. It's kind of fun, and of course this is the 70s, so there's a lot of it's a different kind of read, so you kind of have to be prepared for that. But it's still really, really great, and it's kind of what I measure all other cosmic events up to. So they finally have the big fight. Rick Jones is brought in, and he's actually enhanced or unleashed by the Supreme Intelligence, which is Kree, his mental potential, which is actually now called the Destiny Force. So he wields that and destroys everything and saves the day, basically. Rick Jones, sidekick extraordinaire, saves the day. And it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting. They defeat the Skrulls and come back. And this is kind of... it has a lot of lasting ramifications. Like I said, there are a lot of Kree-Skrull stories that are fall out of this event. But one of the interesting things is this is kind of the start of the Scarlet Witch and Vision romance. And this kind of do they care about each other? They do. Can she actually love him if he's a robot, android, synthetic being? So there are a lot of great, crazy concepts that started to come out of this, and that we see to this day. The kind of ramifications, even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you have the Scarlet Witch and Vision, that romance heating up. So it's very, very interesting. Um, so I really do love this event. The Kree-Skrull War is a lot of fun. It's interesting. A lot of the concepts we still see from day to day in the Marvel Universe, especially on the cosmic side. And so these two big, giant intergalactic empires going at each other was really fun to see. Yes, the story meanders a little bit in a weird way, but it really does work as an overall epic. Those 11, 12-ish issues. So I would highly recommend getting it. They finally collected it into its own trade paperback and so forth. So you can definitely read it. I definitely encourage you to check it out. Roy Thomas wrote it, legendary creator, and you have the art by Sal and John Buscema and Neil Adams. So the artwork is really stellar. It's really, really great. And at the back in this time, like in 1971, 72, this was kind of groundbreaking storytelling, because you didn't really have this kind of story happening. And I thought it was a really, really great concept, and I really enjoyed it. So I think you definitely should check it out. But tell me, if you've already read it, tell me your thoughts on it, what you think about the Kree-Skrull world. Does it have any importance today? Do we see things from it? And as always, it's all geek to us. So come back in, and I'll talk to you some more about some more cosmic events.